the unseen realm, a playground for archetypal energies. Hi, I'm Kelly Murphy. Welcome back to Spirit Seeds. Today we're working with the archetypal energy of the unseen. Now, the unseen can manifest in a variety of ways, because when we're working with the unseen, we're working for that which exists beyond the veil. Here is where you're going to find ancestral energies. And also, when you're working with the unseen, you know that your guides are close. This is where we get those little nudges of intuition, those little inklings of creativity, or those thunderbolts, that hit us out of the blue of insight and clarity. That's the work of the unseen. That's the energies that we're tuning into today. So the unseen can be a somewhat ephemeral energy to work with, because we've been taught that it's not real, right? We've been taught that spirit guides and synchronicities and all that kind of stuff, it's all just coincidence. The only thing that's real is what we can see, feel, and touch. If it doesn't exist within our five senses, then it doesn't exist. Well, I think that anyone who tunes into this channel knows that that's a bunch of BS. So really, what exists in the unseen is so much greater, so much larger than what exists in the seen. It is where creation happens. It is where we can do so much psychic work and have so much psychic influence. But again, that is exactly where we've been trained out of believing in our own power. So anyway, tuning into the unseen. So an example of this for me happened recently. I have been a lover of horses since I was a young child. I think I started riding when I was 6. I have been a riding instructor. I've never had my own horse, much to my dismay, though I've asked for a pony ad nauseum. But I have worked over the past 12 years. I've worked a lot therapeutically with horses and people as doing equine assisted psychotherapy. And I've been out of touch with horses since the portal 2020. And since moving out of Minnesota, I haven't had them in my life, and I've missed them, and their absence becomes more and more prevalent as time goes on. So a couple of months ago, I was, of course, on Facebook, and one of those memory things popped up. Here's a memory from, I think it was 7 years ago, and it was of me and my sister. We were horse sitting for a friend of mine, and it was a video and a photo of our dogs rolling around with the horses, and yeah. So anyway, it struck me in the heart. I felt this resonance and this click. Well, before you know it, there's a Facebook post on horses and healing that was put out by a local riding stable. Now, this is the same day. We're talking, within an hour of each other, these things are happening on Facebook. I know, Facebook, but seriously, there's a lot of stuff that happens in the psychic realm on Facebook and social media, as we know. So anyway, the next thing that happens is I get a message from a fellow healer in the community, and she's just checking in. And for some reason, I decide to tell her about how I'm missing horses. I have no reason to do this. She and I had never talked about horses. It just something said. Talk to her about horses. So I did, and wouldn't you know it, she said, well, horses have been coming into my field recently as well, because I'm starting to do this work. And she had been starting already to do this work with a stable and a counselor, and she was already getting into this therapeutic horse work. And she said, I think this is the unseen telling us that we need to collaborate. And so that's what we're doing. And now I went out and saw the horses. We have met with the horse community here in this tiny town. You wouldn't believe it, that there's this very strong, solid horse woman community. And horses are back in my life. So, had I not had those nudges from the unseen, had I not had that communication from spirit world, who knows if that would have happened or not. So it's really important when we're working with archetypes to pay attention. Pay attention. Pay attention to those synchronicities. Pay attention to things that seem like mere coincidence, because as we all know, there's no such thing as coincidence. So another way that the unseen can make itself known is when it's in shadow, because like all archetypes, the unseen has both its light and its dark, right? When it's in light, we receive guidance, clarity, clairvoyance. We seem to have direct access to spirit and a lot of control over manifesting what occurs in our physical reality. When the unseen is in shadow, when it's dark, there can be an omnipresent heaviness of energy. It can feel like we're sort of wading through mud. It's as if there's a cloak of some sort of goo over us, and we're not able to flow and move and communicate, because something is sort of holding us back. And what's holding us back is these unacknowledged messages from the unseen realm. It's interesting because, as we work with archetypes, the archetypes work with us. That's really what's happening. These energies, these cosmic forces do their work on me much more than I do any work on them. And as I'm working with the unseen today, I went to lay down for a few minutes, and as I was sort of drifting off, a phrase that my mother used to say often came into my mind, and I felt it. I felt this door close. I felt myself putting a wall up in my mind and sort of pushing that away. And I realized that I was refusing communication with the unseen. And I also realized that the unseen can be can often be a messenger of grief. So a lot of times, why the reasons we don't engage with these energies is because they can be intimidating, they can be scary, they can be foreboding, they can be things we don't necessarily want to integrate into our conscious experience. And I think when we're dealing with that kind of that feeling of the door shutting, the mind closing down, that pushing away, that sort of level, it's kind of, I feel like it's like a leveling off that goes on in the mind. That is the unseen trying to communicate with us. That is a message that we are that is on our answering machine. For those of you who remember answering machines, just waiting for us, and we don't want to delete it. Because if we do, what's going to happen is that heaviness is just going to increase. It's going to increase. It's going to grow. It's going to manifest into people, places, and things that we don't want to bring in, that we don't want to engage with. So one of the best ways to kind of communicate with these energies, and especially if you're feeling that heaviness or that sort of closing off of communication with something, one of the best things to do is meditate, right? Because meditation opens the doors to everything. Meditation doesn't have to be sitting down and closing your eyes and the whole thing. Meditation can be going out in nature and taking a walk. Meditation can be sitting quietly with your cat, if you can get your cats to be quiet for a period of time. It can be doing art. It can be singing. It can be writing. Writing is one of the most powerful ways to communicate with the unseen. If you want to have a conversation with this energy, set a timer for 5 minutes, sit down and just write. Just let it flow. Everything and anything that wants to come out, get it out on the paper. Then, when you're done, look it over and see what messages are trying to come through. See what guidance is there for you to pick up. See what power lies there in what we're trying to avoid or trying to hide or trying to push away. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and I look forward to tuning in with you tomorrow. We'll see what tomorrow brings. Thanks again.